screw it up.
And we are red. Red is on.
I don't know. I had it this morning.
Being 4:46 on Thursday, January 3rd, 2019, I will call the Tilton Board of Selectmen's weekly meeting to order. Let the record show that Selectman Scanlon is currently absent but is on his way. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, if no one objects, I'd like to flip 5 o'clock with 4:45 at least, or at least throw the minutes later and get Tim out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd rather get up sooner than hang around.
Oh, this is going to be here a while.
I'm going to be here a while. But thank you.
Is that you?
It's too short.
When you choose a password, you just tell me what
Right,
it
I
is.
have that on here. It needs an update.
All right.
And I forgot.
Okay.
Right.
All right. First off, I have copies of the budget for you.
Okay. 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 Check because my packet's getting a little thick.
Yep. Some notes.
Revisions last time.
So I will just take you through this very briefly. So what this is in preparation for 2 additional meetings that we're hoping to have on the budget this next week. But in here, let me just go over it briefly. First of all, it includes expenses through 12/31. But as I'm sure you're aware, we'll continue to get invoices into January and even February that will affect the end of year numbers. So just keep that in mind as you see 12/31 expenses on here. I've also gone through each department with the exception of police and highway and added details about what makes up each line to the best of my ability, including adding up all the dues and listing everything, listing the number of cleanings, the number of times per week, the distribution of janitorial supplies, all the details on software, services, hardware, so on and so forth as you go through here. So you'll see a number of notes, and I'll continue to add more detail, and I'll be filling in the Public Works and Police Department as best I can. I did make the merit adjustments that the board signed off on. Those are updated. And what we'd like to do is to hold a work session on next Wednesday from 4:45 to 6:30 to be able to go through the police and highway, any remaining questions of those two. And then on Thursday, have the meeting dedicated to going through any adjustments, any other numbers that are needed for the budget, discussions, that sort of thing. And with the hopes, the best case, of being able to vote on it. Worst case, we go back, get more information, hold another work session perhaps Friday or the following week, and with the intention of trying to wrap this up as quickly as possible to get to the budget.
And that was 4:45, right?
On the 9th?
4:45 next Wednesday on the
Yeah.
9th, that's correct.
Why
You don't know.
only the highway and PD portion, why not administration?
Well,
as well?
certainly,
I mean, why not the entire budget?
it could be, certainly. Yeah, it
Or
seemed
are
as
you
though there
looking for
were,
a focus on those two? And
it seemed as though the majority of questions surrounded Public Works and Police, but
we haven't even touched outside agencies.
that's correct.
There's a lot of it we have to touch.
And there's some of the administration.
Yep.
So start with those and try to get into the others?
Right.
Okay.
And we'll be dedicating the Thursday meeting.
Yeah, so the Thursday meeting, we would
So
not,
the 10th will be dedicated just to budget.
yes. we would not, you typically would hear from Dari for his land use report. We would push that off to the next week. He could be up when Kevin's up for his report, but the focus solely being on the budget for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday if we need it.
Will we have the chief of the public works director available on Wednesday?
Yes. Okay, so please go through these. You know, if you have questions, if there's a line that you don't understand the comment I put in or want more detail on the information behind it, you know, feel free to call me, drop it in, email me, whatever. And because I want to get as much detail for you as you need.
This is extensive, thank you.
So you're welcome. That's all I have for public.
Right. And then I think you'll see on the agenda that we need a non-public for two purposes, compensation and reputation. There are several items.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So we're ready to go into it? There no opposition. Let me slide over. Let's see.
You want me to
Okay.
go down?
In accordance with RSA 91-A:3, paragraph 2. Let's see, Part C, matters which if discussed in public would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of the Board of Selectmen or the town, unless such person requests an open meeting. Is that the one?
Second.
I believe so.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Constantino, yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
yes.
I was going to go alphabetical.
You have to make a.
Okay, I'll make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session because they pertain to various personnel issues permanently.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to unseal the minutes of last week's, a portion of last week's, 2 weeks ago, meeting of non-public as they pertain to hiring personnel.
So we have a motion.
Part-time.
I would have to know specifically.
Part-time personnel, police. We hired a
Yeah,
part-time personnel,
Yes,
and that
yes,
should be
yes,
made
yes,
public.
Absolutely.
So a motion and a second to unseal those. Any more discussion on that? Everybody knows what it is?
Who seconded? Joe?
Joe?
No,
I
no,
did.
good.
I did. Peter, second.
You did.
Oh,
Peter,
yeah.
there we go.
All right, now we can, Jeannie, we can announce.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? So moved. We'll announce what we discussed.
So we hired a part-time police officer, Dr. Eric Keck from Northfield, at $16.50 an hour.
And we will be scheduling an official swearing in at a later select board meeting.
Yep, we'll be scheduling an official swearing-in ceremony at a later time.
I've had people come up to me and telling me that we hired this person.
I know.
Well, I don't know.
He
But
might
they
have
have
said.
asked me if we will invite the public or notice the public so people can come. I guess he's very popular.
Well, he's the principal over in Northfield.
Yeah.
At Southwick
That doesn't
School.
necessarily make you popular sometimes. I don't know. This man is very well liked in this
Very.
community.
Yeah, he's very well
I've
liked,
never
but
had the pleasure of meeting him, but I'm just saying, do we usually notice this so the public is aware and they can come to the swearing in?
It's on their agenda, yeah.
That's it.
that's it.
Let's keep the time.
put his name on there if you'd like. We don't usually.
Well, we never unsealed it, but I don't think that the police,
Well, they don't.
They weren't here
That's where
when
it
we-
came from, obviously, but
right.
I was stone-faced.
All right.
Okay, I have one other thing, might be appropriate. Now, I want to make a motion to accept a generous donation from Teresa and
Schneider.
Schneider that she donated to the senior center in Tilton for the amount of $500. I have a motion for that.
Oh, I'll second that one.
very
And we
nice.
have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I
Thank
would like
you.
to thank this woman profusely on behalf of the seniors and the people in the town of Tilton and the surrounding areas. This is just wonderful.
I'll second that for Terry Snyder. She comes up to the senior, she frequents the senior center
How
often.
nice.
She's a very, very nice person. Master gardener too, you know who she is up here. Very nice.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you very much, Terry.
You have minutes to review and approve?
Oh, let's go right in. We can do minutes next week. Let's just keep going. We're on a roll.
Skip
Oh,
minutes.
yeah, we're on a roll.
Is that MOU down in anywhere?
Oh,
Yeah, the MOU.
Yeah, you got at least 3 signatures in the FIR. Here, John. It's in here, that's what it
Did everybody read the MOU?
Memorandum of understanding.
is. Cap,
Well, there was something in here that,
Cap Senior Center.
So this is a renewal for the, this is a renewal for Community Action Program. They supply the program director and Meals on Wheels. They fund it. So we have an agreement with them. It was for 5 years. Obviously, it overran and we were trying to get the agreement again. Joan Barretto has
No. Yes.
resigned.
Okay.
So we wanted to get it done and over with because yesterday was her last day. So I would make the motion to accept it, but I would accept it for a 5-year. We left the date out. So the time period will be today extended for 5 years. The executive committee looked it over and it's much more simpler than the one that we had before. It's very to the point. It's exactly what we had agreed on prior to, but it's much more simpler in reading.
okay, this doesn't have a date on it.
I'm making the motion to accept it, including the date, which would be today's date, out 5 years. Do you see under the time period? It says XXX, but my motion will include January 3rd, 2019 to January 3rd, 2024.
Insert date here.
They will continue to provide RTS bus transportation?
Yes.
What's
So
RTS bus?
they have a bus from the Trip Center that they pick up and they circulate. They go from the Trip Center to Tilton, to Belmont, to Laconia.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
Oh, that's very nice.
and then we can use it occasionally if we need to be, if there's a special occasion that, event or something.
Any more suggestions or discussions?
Other related operational costs. Yeah, but that's, could also be food and...
Good, except for they provide.
They provide the food related, the meals.
Can it just say rent, utilities, and maintenance, period? Other related costs is, operational costs is everything to operate the building.
And that's
And the
what,
programs. It
that's
doesn't
what-
say, except program costs.
Well, it says they will be responsible for all food-related costs required to produce and deliver the community dining, food safety-related items.
in number 2.
Just saying.
What, do you want to put, you want to add something to it?
I'd just cross it off. Put a period at the end of maintenance.
That's fine.
Or other related building costs,
Okay.
property costs. But not
You
operational.
have a copy of it?
Yeah, I do. So you want me to put property costs?
I put property, because that covers the whole, both buildings. Asphalt.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
So
It's
it's the
still good.
motion, what's the motion?
Motion to accept the Elder Service Department of Community Action Belknap, Merrimack County, and Town of Tilton Memorandum of Understanding to be dated January 3rd, 2019 to January 3rd, 2024, with the amended under cost number 3 and other related property costs.
And the second,
Second.
any further discussion?
I just have a chuckle. Both parties will provide each party with a certificate of insurance stating coverage amounts, but it doesn't define who's going to insure what. I mean,
Kids have to be insured.
I know.
Okay,
But
all
I presume
those,
where it's got that covered. Do we have that covered, the insurance? Who covers what?
Your Honor,
We have the building. Joyce?
They must have some liability.
Of course, for the
We
food.
have some liability.
They have liability for the food and anything they provide.
Right.
Well, in any
And
program.
their programs, right?
That's what they provide.
Yeah.
Do we require a minimum
Minimum
amount of liability?
liability
Yes.
insurance.
And that,
Go
Joyce
back to
got
the
that information
original
from
contract.
Primex, I believe,
Okay.
or the insurance before Primex, because it came out before we had Primex, and it's gonna be in their folder, so we have to get that same amount.
Okay.
That's a good point.
all
Please do this terminate.
We need to have that same,
those
Aye.
in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. That can go down.
Oh, not yet.
Thank you.
And we
Sign
have
it, isn't it?
Do you want to say?
next, what I see on the agenda for 6:30, so we're right on the schedule here, is administrator's
You signed
report.
it.
Unless I-
I didn't see the
Oh,
memorandum
wait a
of
minute.
understanding.
Oh, no, you haven't missed
I
it.
didn't miss it?
We haven't gotten to that yet.
What?
The town administrator's report.
Are you going to do your minutes first?
We're going to skip the minutes?
Okay. All right.
wait a minute, I gotta find your agenda.
So, just an update on the
Oh,
Tilton
the
Northfield
town
Island
administrator.
property. I had a conversation with John Teague since I've been in this position, I have tried unsuccessfully to reach the heirs for the Tilton Northfield Island. I've never gotten a return phone call, so I had a conversation with John Teague a week or so ago, and he said this is not like the school situation where you had some transaction with the school. This can be done with a simple quick claim deed. And I then followed up with Stephanie, who's the interim administrator at Northfield Town Hall, and she was going to speak to the selectmen to make sure that they're willing to just do a quick claim deed. The only thing that we would need to agree to, according to John Teague, is that we will confirm the property will remain recreational, that you wouldn't do anything else different with it.
So that's interesting, because when we went to Northfield's meeting, that's exactly what they wanted, that attorney wanted to do,
A quick claim deed?
a quick claim deed. When we brought it back here, and we were concerned about that, reading the language, the attorney that Joyce contacted said, no, you don't, that was what we got. No, you don't want to just quit claim this because in years to come, somebody could make a claim against you, blah, blah, blah. So we said, okay, we don't want to do a quit claim deed.
Well,
So what happened?
what
Who's this
happened
Teague
was,
guy?
John Teague, he works for Upton Hatfield. I had experience working with him years ago when I was a town administrator.
School district's lawyer.
Yeah.
But what he said is because we've done our due diligence in trying to contact, and we
I
have
think
not.
that would be a presented difference
Yeah.
when back then we hadn't gotten in touch with
Right.
theirs yet.
And that's what I remember I had suggested,
Yeah.
that they said we didn't even need to do due diligence
Yeah.
because we're doing the
Okay.
same thing that was.
So
And I
because,
said, no, we should do
okay,
whatever it costs.
Because
to
we
do
don't
it.
want just to
so
come
because
back.
can
that's
say
on
we tried.
record,
I voted for the lawyer that time.
because we did that one step that they didn't suggest we do, now we're okay.
Yeah, apparently because it's not a change, and Northfield wants to give it to us, give it to Tilton, And we have made the attempt, according to the attorney, and I assume it's the same attorney who directed you the last time. He said you've made the attempts, he's made the
What
attempts.
avenues were pursued in trying to get in touch with the heirs?
Calls, telephone calls. And I'm not sure,
Letters?
No,
Everything was
but
but
logged.
I'm happy to do that. But at the direction of the attorney, he said that these are the people to call these people. I'd gone through this with Joyce as well when we were in transition, but I'm happy to send letters as well if you'd like.
The I's and the P's, because if in 5 years we lose this island, because the original deed kicks in, I'm gonna be livid.
One of the things that we could do at those addresses that we have the information is to send a letter, and it doesn't have to be a return receipt, but a receipt of mailing, which is different. They don't have to sign for it.
Right.
It just
Right.
is a receipt that says that we did mail it, and they're only $1.10 each
Okay,
for that receipt.
okay.
Unresigned means it wasn't undelivered.
Yep.
At least that shows
Okay.
that we mailed them.
I will take that next step.
And
And then I would sign a quick claim deed. If
Okay.
they don't respond
Yep.
in the negative somehow, I would do whatever.
Bring it to town meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Second on the list, handicap chairs and railing to be disposed of by the DPW. Pat had asked about this, he brought this up. I did talk to Kevin about the DPW being able to dispose of. He confirmed they could, but I know Pat wanted to come before the select board and just confirm that you were okay with
We were,
disposing of this.
last year, we had, the automatic chair lifts. There were some that were donated to us from estates that we gave two out to different elderly people that thought that they could use them. Both came back. Apparently, they can't be used. They're very specific to the home, apparently. And now they're sitting in our outbuilding, taking up space. They're heavy, they're metal. And I'd like to just dispose of them. I can't dispose of them. And I would like the Public Works to put them in the dumpster and get rid of them, because they're really heavy metal. But I wanted to ask you
There's
first.
no way to turn these into money for.
Well, they're metal, so they
So we could sell them as scrap.
scrap, yeah. So that would be the way to get it, but Kevin said that they could easily go up and get them and do it, but we were unaware at the time because they were only used a couple of months, and it was from an estate that Attorney McGovern had given them to
Well,
us.
they were donated to the town of Tilton.
Right.
So,
So, yeah, so
absolutely.
just want somebody to go up and get them.
Yes.
No hurry to do it, but I don't know if we've got the metal bin there or not, but when we do, I just want to make sure that I can just make a phone call and say, take them away.
Something that we could donate or.
They're pretty well custom.
Yeah, you
Don't-
can't,
no two stairs are the same.
I do realize, yeah, and they also have sectional pieces that you can add or subtract everything to. But just for the thing, if there is somebody that does need this, that
we've tried 2 homes now, and professional people have tried to install them, and they've gone back to the original manufacturer, and they said that they can't customize them to.
But I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah,
And
I get what you're
understand
saying, yeah.
But let's at least, I'd like to give it a
That's
shot,
genius, right?
put it in the paper or something like that, free.
Why don't we put it on the website, at least that's free, otherwise paper, you're gonna have to pay for.
I just
As is.
hate- yeah, as
No
is,
liability.
and
We
Okay.
could do that.
There could be somebody out there that's really good and clever with this.
Where is everything now, Pat?
Up at the outbuilding, we have an outbuilding next to the senior center.
Okay, so somebody needs to go take a picture of it and then get it on the website.
Yeah, it's in the
Do you want to set a date?
slider door part.
That after that date, we'll dispose of them?
There, it's in the,
January 30th?
yeah,
Okay.
we need the key to get into the door. It's in where the slider part.
Any concern about liability, if something goes wrong and we've donated it? Somebody installs it and something goes
I
wrong.
hadn't thought of that, but yeah,
I mean, everything, he should sign it.
it should be waivers. If we were to give it to somebody for a use, hey, this goes
We have a
bad,
waiver
here's what
on our
it is
medical
when we get it.
equipment that relieves us of liability, so we don't have that issue. But if we're gonna give them to somebody for free, I would imagine we would have to do something in terms of liability. That's why I said as is, we're not gonna take responsibility. Not even loading them in this, in
Okay.
the vehicle.
All right,
Heavy.
I will, based on that, I will get down there and take a picture of it, get it on the website. January 30th, after January 30th, it gets disposed of, and there will be a waiver if anyone accepts it as is, and we don't accept no responsibility.
Guaranteed not to work. In fact, if
Okay.
it does, you're
All
great.
right, good, so the next
I have a couple of
issue on my list is this public-private partnership call for projects grant application. You have a copy of it. It's a very brief application. You have the map. Dari worked on this. We worked on this together. If you look at the map, you can see with the, what do they call it, the little, well, it's,
I am so excited.
so, it shows you where the potential for crosswalks, sidewalks, enhanced private drives. We have, each of us, Dari has reached out to some of the property owners. I had a conversation earlier today with Alex Ray, and all these folks are very interested in this potential private-public partnership.
Who owns the Hobby Lobby Plaza?
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, and the
The plaza itself?
The
Yeah.
plaza was owned by Shaw's.
Yeah, well, it was
So,
a
and I
I
think
thought
they
it was a
sold it.
developer that just rents out like E.F. Bolus or one of those
Could
type.
be, could be.
yeah,
Well, the problem is, in the past, you look at the new vehicular connection, the blue,
mhm.
that's the old asphalt plant drum dryer culvert that failed. And the owners of that development don't want traffic going in, so that's gonna probably be a dead issue, that blue part.
Not only that, but this
This
is,
is super important on this one. I brought this to Dari many, many times. That was a condition of the building of the diner and Evans Mart, was that road, it was a fire department condition that that whole access shall have 2 entrances and that shall be maintained. And I brought it over many times over the years that was failing, and then it finally collapsed in, and they closed it down with barriers. But the original conditions for the diner, Evans, and that whole plaza in the bank was that remain open. So,
open to emergency
emergency
traffic.
traffic.
That's not gonna
Does
work
need to
as
be
a
replaced.
regular
Do you
car
remember that?
connector. I worked at the Tilton
So
Diner for 10
we should
years.
have that pursued through land use, and we should pursue it through this.
So it's just an application, it's a concept, again, it's something I've talked to you before about improving economic development in the town of Tilton. Now, this application is due tomorrow, so I wanted you to look at it, tell us if you like it, like the idea, that it's just, again, just a
Good start.
starting point.
Yeah,
Go for it.
yeah,
Can we just
started, that's
include
great.
this
Yeah.
little tail into the Hobby Lobby Plaza?
Can you,
What was that, Catherine?
can you draw that for me?
Right there.
Draw that.
What
Can
do
you
you-
just write in it? Yeah.
What is it?
You know when you come out of Hobby Lobby and you want to go to BJ's without going out onto Route 3? And
Yeah.
you got to maneuver that
Yes.
corner
Yes,
that
yes.
they obviously made so you couldn't go to BJ's? 'cause
Yep.
it was Shaw's at the time,
Yep.
and it was competition.
Why can't you? I do it all.
Is
Well,
this,
you
I
can,
do it,
you
but
is
can.
this right here?
That was
Just have
a
it.
little elbow.
The bigger vehicle.
It's a corner like this, it has to go up and around.
Yeah, I have a high vehicle, so I usually go over.
Okay.
Or over.
So you're all good with us submitting that
Yes,
application?
please.
This is
Okay.
great.
There's,
Don't,
at the Hobby Lobby, there's Clear Choice, there's one in there.
yes.
What is?
Clear Choice.
What's that?
It's
It's
the
Medical.
urgent care.
medical, yeah. The next thing I wanted to bring to your attention is this capital mobility management projects. This came to my attention through the DOT. There is a transit grants workshop next Monday. On Tuesday, there is a Mid-State Regional Coordinating Council meeting. This might sound familiar to you. Oh, he's gone. Joe was the Tilton representative. Apparently, you entered into a MOU with these folks back in 2016. Jane Alden was the first alternate representative. What this is are opportunities to get funding for capital mobility management projects such as a volunteer driver program, a taxi voucher service, rural transit service. So it's about transit for Tilton, for seniors and the disabled.
I thought they went out. I thought they dispersed that portion of the for mobility issues. They transferred it over, and they were no longer doing the RCC, were no longer doing the mobility issues, and it was transferred to the federal funding.
Nope. They are, if that happened in the past, we just got a notification that they have a call for projects and they're doing a grants workshop.
When?
Monday?
This Monday?
Yep.
You going?
I was planning to go to the one on Monday, and I asked Dara to go to the one on Tuesday, which is the Mid-State Regional Coordinating Council meeting, to see about our opportunity to get some grant funding. So
For seniors and mobility or for something else?
this is all about seniors and mobility.
Wow, okay. That'd be great. That's super. I was under the understanding that they dispersed that was why we weren't attending.
Oh. Yeah, but I'm not talking about it.
That was back with Jim.
So-
Jim,
The other two topics under action items are the meeting rules of procedure, meeting procedures and standards of conduct, and the employee survey. Wondering if you've had a chance to take a look at it. Is it ready for release? Do you have any changes? It's given the lateness of the hour, I don't expect you want to go through this. Maybe you do,
I
but,
loved it.
okay.
I have probably 45 minutes worth of conversation.
Oh, the employee survey?
No, the employee survey was fabulous.
Okay, so you're good with that? Are you okay with us?
I loved the employee survey.
Okay.
What was the other thing that she had for 45 minutes of
The
conversation?
meeting procedures and standards of conduct. It was,
Oh, I don't think I had that. With the night that I was not here?
I think it went down to you. No, it came in our packets. It should be in your black.
It was in our packet.
It had
In your black.
it had to do with how meetings are conducted, how, what authority the chair has to cancel a meeting, or,
Oh, I would have a lot of discussion on that one. Can you just resend me another copy?
You've got to double that, 45.
In the interest of shortening that conversation, I can meet with Jeannie. And I know that with
I'd
Google,
love to
I
hear
can
your
add-
suggestions,
Well, no,
Karen.
with Google, you can add these suggestions, so it doesn't change this, but it can.
Gail,
you have it?
Whatever.
Highlight.
Highlighting your stuff.
Is that 3 pages,
On that.
Pat?
I tried one.
Is it 3 pages?
yep,
Okay, good.
no, 6,
Well, front to back.
yep,
Yeah,
I
okay.
need a
yes.
tutorial.
I'll Look at this tomorrow
Okay.
in between buses.
All right, great. So if you're good with the employee survey, then I'm going to get that out there.
Okay,
Um,
sorry I didn't look at that, I'm sorry
And-
I missed that.
You have, just FYI, some of the things you know tomorrow at 10 o'clock is the walk with Calvin Deasner at New Hampshire DES. Joe, and I called him today just to confirm we're still on. He's going to meet us here at Town Hall. I'm not going to go through the other issues, you can read those. And just one other thing that I did do, but I left off. Catherine, you asked about what was going on with the True Green accident, and I have talked to Senator Gaida, and he's working on setting up a meeting with DOT, with myself, DES, DOT, and Jim Cropsey, and anyone else who thinks they might like to go, because we have to figure out who is taking responsibility in terms of owning property before we can move forward. So, because DOT says they don't own it, Jim says he doesn't own it, so I think that meeting is going to be very helpful.
Yep, as long as Tilton doesn't end up owning it.
Well, somebody has to own it.
DES must.
You,
We could send them a letter saying we're planning on taking the wall down and see how they respond.
there you go.
We're gonna put
So-
short line in
Thank
there.
That's all I have.
A beach.
One more
Was
thing,
that from
can
yesterday
you
when you came
explain
in?
that? Because it only requires one signature, so I don't know whose signature should be on the settlement with the telephone.
That'd be the chair.
Telephone for
Did we make a
$200
motion that the chair
refund.
sign that?
Oh, is that from,
That was, remember the.
The assessor, yeah.
Yeah.
Reassessment?
we just,
I
make a
think-
motion
yeah.
to, have the chair sign the Northern New England Telephone Operations LLC doing business as Consolidated Communications, Fairpoint Communications versus Town Settlement Agreement.
Second.
Second, third.
Aye.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there such thing as Northern New England Telephone?
AKA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're doing, they put all
Yeah,
their
I was like-
possibilities.
If there is still in existence, I'm really,
All the possibilities, they left nothing to shame.
All go around with three. This one.
So
Okay,
Selectmen's
selectmen's reports, and we're out of here. So, I don't have the authority.
Okay, so we're on, we did the FYI. Anything else under administrative reports? And that's it. And we have selectmen's report. We'll start with Peter.
What's the status on an RFP for roads and sidewalk paving bids? We were given a list of roads. He's going to be looking for sidewalks and all, but we're going to be just like last year. It's not going to get out to bid till way too late.
Okay, I'll check with him. Did he
Should be
not
going
talk?
up now.
Yeah,
We had a brief conversation with them, but
Okay, was it
and
in his report? I didn't have a chance to look at his report. Okay, I will check.
And speaking of reports, wasn't it a edict from the board, we get them by Wednesdays? And they're getting pretty slack from some of them?
yeah, we got them Thursday afternoon.
Yes, so just maybe a friendly reminder on that. And can we get an updated plow list for DPW, because we don't have 3 big trucks now, we only have 2, and we've got smaller ones, so what's that done for the plow routes?
So when you say updated plow list, you want to know?
Well, what he does is, this truck does
They
these
plow
streets.
routes.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
and see which one's covering what.
okay.
That's it,
And
thanks.
if those are gonna be permanent routes, we should amend our highway policy to reflect them.
There you go.
Isn't that in the works?
Mhm.
Been in the works since.
Okay, and we'll go Joe. Catherine.
Joe has the meeting tomorrow with DES at 10 a.m. I've been in touch with Chuck Mitchell and you, John, and any number of people, and Jim Cropsey, and told them that this is happening, Alan from next door. And I would like to wholeheartedly invite everybody and their friends to come on down, because the DES guy loves answering your questions. It should be really informative, and as part of the downtown initiative, We want to clear the banks of debris, brush, that kind of stuff. But what can we do? What needs permits? What kind of things do we have to go through? And those are some of the questions that will be asked and hopefully answered tomorrow if you want to come down. And that's it for me.
I have a couple of things. This is the first storm that I've gotten a lot of phone calls on plowing issues. I've either called town hall here when they've been open, or I've called Kevin directly. He's handled all of them with no issues whatsoever. The other thing, a couple of things at the senior center. We are changing the locks because it's going to be 10 years in May that we've been open, and we don't really know how many keys are really out there. So 10 years, imagine.
Couple dozen at least.
10 years we're open. We're going to do something special, I hope.
So instead of a key lock, can we look at maybe a push button one so that in a couple of years you just change the combination?
How are we going to remember the combination? I can't
We have a
remember.
combination now.
Yeah. Well, for the alarm, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So
Write that down, yeah.
which now we're talking about the combination. We were talking about the combination, and I did call Mango and talk about, because John had mentioned that there's a special panel that we could get that differentiates between party users. So the selectmen have one code to, if they were to use it. The AA group would have a different code, the cleaning crew would have a different code, the executive committee. But if we wanted to change our codes now, it's $30 a whack just to change one code for Mango. Right now, an administrative fee. So if we got this panel, we could change the codes remotely. They could change the codes remotely up to 32 people.
How much is it?
The new panel and installation and everything, it's a little under $1,000, so I thought we'd go out for a grant for that, to do that.
Because $30 a whack, you could change the code a lot of times.
Are you
for
paying-
Right.
$30 a whack.
Aren't you paying a service fee on top of that for somebody to come out to do it?
No, because they do it via the office, so,
They know they have to send somebody out.
yes, they do, actually.
Another person
Scott
else
did
knows
say
how
that.
to do it. Presently, the
Yeah, you're up,
keypad through only at the old keypad.
the old keypad,
And
right.
you have to have the administrator code, or the dealership code to do it. So they have to send somebody out, which is
Yeah, $110 an hour,
Not so many, not so many.
plus the
Yeah, yeah.
$30 an hour, so it's really gonna be,
You have 7 codes.
it's more effective for us if we're gonna have the Mango to the security system to do that. The other thing, which we didn't have time to mention to Tim, but the security system that we do have there, the security cameras, are not working, and they haven't worked for they haven't worked. And Tim was going to try to fix it with updated software, and he hasn't had a chance to do that, so I have to remind him to do that. Or if Jeannie sees him before I do, to remind him that the senior center needs, software needs to be updated. But the more important thing that we really need to talk about is the paving outside was donated to us. The parking lot was donated to us by Porter Paving. And do you know where the drain is in between John Bernard's and ours? Well, on our side of that line, the delineation line where we gained that drain, which should have been John's, through the plowing and everything that's been happening over there, the pavement is all broken up and caused like a pothole. And before I begged Mr. Stanley if he would go over and see if he could fix it, I was wondering if we could have the town people look at it and see if there's something that we could do, because I'm just curious to see if it's kind of done something to the integrity of the drainage going into the drain, because it's only inches away from the drain.
Peter, can they get pavement now?
No, not right now, I'm not talking right
They
now,
could probably.
but I'm talking like when the asphalt place is open.
Oh, you're talking about in the spring?
And I'm talking about, but can the town do it instead of having us go back? It's probably about this big.
I'm fine if Kevin can take care of it and is willing to, I'm fine with
Because
that.
right now, it's
Town
very
property.
uneasy to get out of the vehicle and to step on it for any elderly person.
I have a question with regard to plowing over at the senior center. Might our pavement problem have anything to do with the inadequate plowing service that we seem to have?
No, what happened,
They ran into the
well, we have a new person that's been,
not
that,
that new, I don't think.
yes, he is.
Can I-
He's very
This is his
new,
first winter?
yes.
How come Public Works isn't plowing?
Yeah.
They
is.
are, and I didn't want to throw.
It's Public
gas
Works.
aspersions.
It's his very first winter with us.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever plowed.
So it's a learning
And he
curve.
fixed it.
It's a learning curve. It was,
With a plow.
he caught it with the plow going in, caught the corner of the
Public
ramp
Works
with the
should
plow.
fix it.
It was fixed immediately. He called immediately. Everything was hunky-dory.
I'd
but
like to commend him for stepping right up and
Who's that?
ownership. That you-
Took ownership.
Everybody makes mistakes, and then you go, hey, I did it.
That's
I'm
not
sorry."
bad for a first time.
But
He
there,
ran into the deck.
It's not bad for a first
He was
time.
trying to
He-
get a real.
he did not run into the deck. The plow took the corner of it.
Because he ran into it.
It just was the corner. Running into it is like,
Well, no.
but anyway, the other issue was that no, Kevin went up and showed him how actually to do it. It's very difficult to plow up at the senior center. There's no easy way to do it, and John Bernard has been so nice for us to push the snow onto his property. There's no easy way to do it. So if you're not familiar with that area, and it's new to him this year, it's new plowing for him this year, I think he's doing a fantastic job, so.
He really took out the ramp. Could have been much worse.
I'd snow
He
blow
could
it.
have. He broke it. He fixed it.
Oh,
Yes, he did.
One more than one board, but that's all right.
You didn't see what I did to your house, right? When I plowed yours
Oh,
in.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
I got your lawn good.
I know he-
I still have this.
You have to change that.
They got fixed, I'm done. Thank you.
You're on.
All right, where do we go?
Okay, that's it, thank you, Kevin. And
Motion to adjourn.
All right, very quickly. We have a fireworks ordinance we've been working on, haven't completed.
Yeah!
We need to keep that, it's on my list, keep that in the works.
It is on my to-do list, I will
Because
tell
we've
you.
got- It's coming up again.
Yes, it is.
3 or 4 years,
Oh, yeah.
We talked about this.
What, excuse me, why is it coming up again?
because
Is-
July is gonna be here
Okay.
before we know it.
The fireworks ordinance is just fine.
Actually, they'll start.
It's the
they'll start sending
permit
off Memorial
that we
Day.
didn't accept to go into the fireworks ordinance.
Yeah, they'll start sending them off Memorial Day.
Do you have the permit? I have the permit here.
I have the file,
that one,
I have the fireworks ordinance file. It's
Yeah,
on my to-do
This is
list.
the permit that goes with it,
Okay,
so if you ever need it, it's right in mine.
okay.
A short while ago, I brought up the town car policy, and we agreed that everybody should use the car, everybody,
Yep,
and with stipends, and
right.
everybody's treated the same. Could we write up that policy, making sure that because Kevin verified that the car is safe to drive, that we include that and notify all employees?
we have a policy.
Well, wait a minute, how is that going to affect the
You'll have to use the town car.
We are working on that. I guess there's a lot going on, so we have to prioritize, and you have to tell me, if this is the priority, then the ACA, IRS reporting gets pushed to the side. You know, there's a lot going on. It's not that I have not forgotten,
I just don't
but
want
I
to
got a
drop.
list, and it won't drop.
Some employees won't use it because they deem it's unsafe. but our public works director, our mechanic said the car is safe. That's the biggest issue,
Yep.
let people know the car is safe.
And that the gas reimbursement exceeds based on the
But right after, just so you know, right after last week's meeting, Gail and I pulled up the policy. We also pulled up, and we worked on one. We had a conversation about looking at all the policies and trying to tackle at least 2 a month or something like that. So
Very
we've got a
nice.
plan.
I have no doubt.
Very nice.
I have no doubt.
So,
Um,
and presently, we follow whatever policy we have.
That's it.
well, except we did agree to, right now, I mean,
We have a policy.
the
in
car is
place,
deemed unsafe, so nobody uses it, and insists they're gonna use their own vehicle, and they put in for mileage, and that's ludicrous. We have a car that's safe.
right?
Drive it,
And
use it.
presently, we have a policy, correct?
We do.
And are we going to follow that policy?
No, did we make a motion to change that policy?
No, she didn't.
We didn't make a motion to change the policy, we made a motion that everybody would use the car,
Because it is safe.
because it is
Right.
safe, and there wouldn't be stipends, that everybody be treated equally. And I, you know.
But
We have clarification.
Gail has
from Gail.
something to say.
But that's what the,
You clarify.
In the
I
minutes,
believe
there
it was
were
a consensus.
Tabling.
Motion. Was there a
Yeah.
motion?
Kevin confirmed the car was mechanically safe to drive. The board still needs to discuss whether to continue using the car, take it offline, and use it as a detail car, and/or have employees submit their mileage.
So no decision was made.
At any time did we say that the previous policy is no longer valid?
No.
No.
So presently, we go by whatever our written policy is until we change it.
Okay,
And there's
but you
no-
need to know you've got some very unhappy employees that some are being treated differently than others.
Well, then I make a motion that from this day forward, the policy is that we will use the town car for all town business. And those that do not use the town car will not get reimbursed mileage. The town car, if available.
Second,
Under
This-
discussion.
And we have a motion in the second, and we have discussion, and I'm going to start, I haven't heard you for a couple minutes.
That's
And let's
surprising.
limit this to not exceed.
I could have said it.
At 8:50, I'm going to call the question.
Good enough. So that means that if the car is not available, then mileage would apply. Or whatever the, yeah, okay, that's it.
Okay, and the other discussion is, I believe we have an agreement with our building inspector. Does this void his agreement?
this way.
So this motion voids the agreement with the building inspector. Are there any other employees that we have agreements with that will be voided, or positions?
Not that I know of.
What's the building inspector's?
Gets a stipend.
He receives a stipend.
Stipend. But that will have to reflect in the budget.
So he doesn't get reimbursed for mileage, he receives a stipend for using his vehicle. So,
So,
for clarifying,
Is that in writing
That-
anywhere?
What's that?
is now.
it's in budget.
Yes, the stipend's in writing. I think it's paid quarterly.
So is that valid still, or is that not valid?
It would not continue if this motion passes, from the way Pat.
The motion was for reimburse people for mileage, or was it for reimbursing people for the stipend?
No, it's, the motion is to reimburse people for mileage, not for stipends. The
If the
stipends
car
were
is not
discontinued.
available.
He
If
would
the
have to
car's
put
not
in mileage like everyone else.
Let me clarify my motion. The motion is to discontinue stipends and payment of people using the town car, using their own vehicle and getting reimbursed mileage when the town car is available. So the policy is they will be using the town car when available, and stipends will cease, or they will not be getting mileage period,
That
right?
stipend's $800 a year.
So he gets two $400 stipends.
So we need amendments.
Does that make sense?
So the motion is that everyone uses the town car
When available,
when available. If it's not available and they use their own vehicle,
they get reimbursed mileage.
they get reimbursed mileage. And anyone now who's receiving a stipend as it relates to vehicle use, that is no longer valid.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so that was a slight change, but it was clarification. So the second, would you like 2 seconds?
Yeah, and I'll amend my second.
And Joe is amending his second to include that. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
That makes some happy.
And,
So,
That's way it's going to be until.
so I've been getting calls from people who are afraid to make complaints on their own because of what I experienced recently with one of our businesses. And because I'm the selectman and one of the enforcement authorities for the town of Tilton. That's how it was worded to me. So, we have a property on Bittern Lane that is using property directly across from their entrance as a parking lot that abuts Ice House Pond. We have in effect a zoning ordinance that requires them to be 100 feet away from Ice House Pond. So they cannot put snow there and they cannot use it for a parking lot for motor vehicles.
Where's Ice House Pond? That
Bittern
pond,
Lane.
that pond when you go in on the right-hand side?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
between Bittern and Walmart Plaza. That's Ice House Pond.
Okay, got it.
So I received a call a few weeks ago that there were cars parked there, or trucks, or whatever they were. I reported it, Dory contacted them, they moved them. This morning I got a phone call on my way to work. There is, and I don't know if it's there right now, but it was there when I went by this morning, the trailer part of a tractor trailer. The tractor's gone, the trailer is backed up to Ice House Pond and is now sitting, or was sitting there this morning. They insisted, the phone caller, and I'm not going to make them public, like I said, they're concerned. They'll experience the same retribution I did. They wanted me to bring it up to the Board of Selectmen and make you aware of this. Dari, I told him about it. When Al is in on Monday, because he's on vacation, they'll do what they need to do to take care of it. So I'm just making you aware.
Enforce the ordinance. I do have a question for you, Catherine. You said you faced some kind of repercussion. What kind of repercussion did you face?
That's
Oh,
that's
started that.
yeah.
I'm not here all night.
That's for non-public.
Yeah.
It's legal and it's non-public.
Well,
Can you have a
Have
copy
Jeannie-
of the email that was sent to me
Yeah.
that I forwarded to everybody? Gail, do you still have that?
When did you enforce it at school?
Before you, Joe.
Oh, the thinly veiled threats?
Yes.
Oh, no, I saw that.
Okay.
And everybody's aware that also there were other people that received
Yes.
threats and phone calls.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Other
why they're,
Commissioners and.
that's why they're, I don't know, maybe I'm naive. I was like, well, why don't you call yourself? And then they said that, and I was like, oh, all right. But anyway, I've done my duty. You're all aware of it.
I ask a question, is that land owned by who?
So as you enter Bittern Lane, the first parcel, and it's almost down to the end of the auto serve property, belongs to the town of Tilton. It was deeded to the town by Brian, George, Kathleen, and his brother Dan. It was
Okay.
deeded to the town.
No.
Beyond that belongs to MB Tractor.
Okay. That piece of property, are they parking on that?
Their piece of property on the Ice House Pond side is what I'm talking about, and yes, they've been parking it. It has
Have they
been,
been parking on our portion?
On our portion, no. No, there's a drainage ditch that goes across through there, and they're on their side of the drainage ditch.
But they need to be 100 feet away from it.
They technically need to be 100 feet. Now, if you enforce that, that means their property on the other side of the road, some of that would have to be vacated. But certainly, we should have them vacate the Ice House Pond side.
Well, I would say that certainly if anybody is in violation of any ordinance, law, or anything like that, they should be served notice and told, and it should be enforced regardless.
No, I agree.
Ordinances should
And
be
as I said, when I
enforced.
brought it to Dari, he said that when Al was in Monday morning, they take care of it.
Okay,
Especially near wetlands.
Well,
that's why we have that rule.
it is, and that was the concern. So, and lastly,
Yep.
what John brought up earlier about
Protection.
that little bridge that failed between the Diana property and Shaw's, could you make sure that Dari pursues that? Because he's right, you've brought that up for a long time, and we've never actively pursued it. And then lastly, Brook Road, and this has occurred before. I think whoever's plowing it just needs to be reminded, when they plow Brook Road, people do take a left-hand turn out of Brook Road. Currently, they're plowing it and going to the right and leaving that big tail of snow. Now,
I saw that.
In years past, I've had to
Yep.
go down
I've
with
seen
my
you plow,
tractor
yep.
and move it.
Yep.
So people can take a right-hand turn.
Yep.
Because if enough snow accumulates in ice,
You're not gonna take it.
so if you would just remind
Okay.
Public Works to.
I heard, and I should have brought it before, but I heard the same complaint up at the corner by Keelerville where it turns to Samerton.
That's right,
That, I don't know if it's Samerton or them, but they're leaving a wall across the road.
they are.
Keelerville Road,
Is
March
that
Road.
Chuck Mitchell?
March Road and Caleb Hill
Yeah,
Road.
and when Chuck, he had sent me an email, I called Kevin, Kevin went out and took care of it,
Okay.
so he's
And I
aware.
thought it was taken
Yeah.
care of.
Yeah.
I'm done,
That's it.
thank you.
And I don't have anything.
What, did we figure out the results of the property across from Lowe's? Because I've never seen so many cars.
Yeah, parked in the,
No.
on the lawn there.
And that's probably another issue that seemed to be in a stalemate.
There,
That house property, the house that is still there, part of that, and I thought that Dari was in agreement, that eastern half was in that wetlands area.
I mean, it's abutting almost right on the line of the post office property. There's vehicles parked there now.
That brook is right down.
So could we get a report from the code enforcement as
Did you see the
the
vehicles?
latest wetlands?
Beyond the tree.
Buffer zone,
Oh, yeah.
where that line would be.
That whole,
on
that
piece of
parcel.
property.
Say that again, John, please.
The way I'm interpreting it.
So let me get this correct. So we would like from the
Code?
in code enforcement, a copy of the latest wetlands delineation line, what do you call that, the boundary line for the wetlands?
Okay.
Through that park.
On,
You want that, or do you want
Okay.
groundwater protection district also?
And you want that at where the White House is that next to
Yeah,
the post
yes.
office?
Yeah.
Right,
in a report as, some
Yep.
type of thing in writing as
Yeah.
to what the story is with that.
Is that what it
particular
was,
part.
groundwater protection?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was,
Okay.
That little brook from the pond across the street.
from my house.
No, the pond between.
Oh, the
Dental
little
and-
one, yeah. The little one.
Yeah,
The post office and.
well, between the Agway and
Yeah,
Pizza Hut, that little pond goes under, and between the post office and, you see that little drainage.
yeah.
You talk, just again, so I'm clear on it, you're talking about you want information of where the house, the White House is now. where the
96 East
parking-
Main.
Okay, all right. I will take care of it. Before you end, I just wanted to go back for some clarification. Peter, you mentioned something about reports being due on Wednesday afternoon. Is that? are all-
Wednesday noon.
Wednesday noon.
Yep.
Is that all department heads? Does that include Tim? Does that include me? Does that include
It was more, I
Heather?
think, police and highway, because they're rarely here.
Okay, Okay, I just wanted, for
They
my
do a
purposes,
weekly
because I
report.
haven't been giving you
Right.
them.
But we see you, and if
Okay.
we have questions on it, I can ask you, whereas I read this here. as-
They give a weekly report, so. it's
No, I
easy.
understand, but, but,
That was an option for them, so that they didn't have to come in every week. So
Right.
if we have questions, it gives us time to ask them
yep.
before Thursday when they're not here.
Yeah,
So it's primarily, you're only looking for reports at noon on Wednesday from the police chief and Kevin.
yes,
Okay,
yes, that's correct, Jeannie.
yes.
Mr. Chair, motion to adjourn.
Second.
With your feet.
Discussion, no,
It's a non-debatable motion once we have a second. It's non-debatable. We're going home. Thank you very much.